All right, folks, welcome. Today is August 8th. This is the MEFIRS open forum for August 8th, 2023, where we're talking about our transition to NEMSIS 3.5. We've been holding these for a few weeks now. Today was the first day that we sent our reminder out to essentially our everybody list. So I see a few folks in the meeting that I'm not able to identify. One I think is somebody's license number 22224. If you don't mind renaming yourself, just so we can kind of keep track of who's here, and also WG, if you don't mind renaming yourself to your name, so just so we can track who's here. If you don't want to, that's fine, but we'd appreciate it. So yeah, so we'll get going. So just some ground rules, right? Everybody can raise their hand. Everybody can ask a question. Folks can unmute themselves. We live dangerously here in the data world, so because we're letting somebody named Citizen Kane in right now. So, but anyway, we'll if you have a question, just raise your hand. If you want to, put it in the chat or unmute and ask your question. There's really multiple ways to interact. There's also a Q&A feature down at the bottom of your control panel. You can ask questions in the Q&A if you want, and we can, chances are we're probably going to respond to that directly as opposed to typing out an answer. I have myself here from Maine EMS, data preparedness coordinator from Maine EMS, and Darren Davis is my counterpart, our data guru, our SQL reporting whiz. So we'll be glad to answer whatever questions you have. If you have questions related to the 3.5 transition or NEMSIS or MEFIRS or documentation in general, ask any question you want. If you have questions that are related to other things that are not related to data or to MEFIRS or to the NEMSIS 3.5 transition, feel free to ask those too, and we'll weigh it out. If we know the answer, we'll try and answer you. If not, we'll direct you to the appropriate place for that answer. All right, so we'll get going. This is our timeline for our transition to NEMSIS 3.5. We've changed a little bit along the way because we just sent out our change notice yesterday. Change notice went out to everybody, and that change notice is more or less a 30,000-foot view of things that are going to be changing in the system. Yep, and I typed August wrong. Next, we have a few agencies that we're gonna look for to demo it. We have a few agencies who've already volunteered, and not going to call them out by name right now, but I'd like to thank them personally for volunteering to do that. We're going to be getting some training specifically to those agencies over the course of the next week or two to get their agencies spun up using 3.5 and documenting in the NEMSIS 3.5 data set. On or around September 1st, we're going to release a documentation training on MEMZ. In that training, we're going to spell out to you, this is what we want you to know about the change from NEMSIS 3.4 to NEMSIS 3.5. We're going to explain some things like the logic behind the flow of our run form, how that works, and how the dynamic features in the run form work, so on and so forth. And then collect some feedback in that time. We're also going to collect some feedback from those agencies that are currently documenting with it. And depending on the feedback, we'll take some of that. We may implement some changes and go from there. On October 1st, that's when agencies are going to start cutting over, right? So on October 1st, we'll have a few agencies that we can cut over. We can cut over more than one. So we'll probably large swaths of agencies starting October 1st. We'll transition over to NEMSIS 3.5 with the final date of December 1st. Everybody has to be switched over by December 1st to begin documenting in the 3.5 data set. So this is where we are. I'll pause. If anybody has any questions at this point in time, you can go ahead and Feel free to ask any questions on anything so far. Okay. And we're still letting folks in from the waiting room join in every few minutes. So, okay, we'll go on, and we'll do what we're working right now on a resource page on the Maine EMS website, so we can store all these documents and these slide decks, because we do a new slide deck every week for this. So you'll have you'll have access to each of these updates. So more on that in the very near future. Oh, I see Darren raised his hand. Go ahead, Darren.
Yes. Hello. Thank you. And good afternoon, everyone. One of the things that you may be asking yourself is, why are we making this change now? And why do we want to have all of our EMS agencies moved over by December 1? And part of that is simply because by the end of the year, NEMSIS, the national data collection, is no longer going to be accepting the version of data that we're currently using. The other thing to take into consideration is that on December 1, I believe we're going to be graced with a new protocol that is going to have a number of changes in it, changes about leaving behind naloxone kits and medications and activated charcoal. And so there's changes that are coming and all that. I would encourage you all to attend those MDPV meetings and get a heads up on what's going on. So those changes do impact our patient pair report. So this is intended to somewhat align with those new protocols as well. So thank you, Jason.
Yeah, thank you, Darren. That was great. So moving right along, what is NEMSIS 3.5? So NEMSIS is the National EMS Information System, and currently we're on the NEMSIS data set of 3.4, and the 3.5 data set is going to allow us to better describe the entire EMS event. It's not just about the patient disposition. So one of the major changes, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit of great detail today, is the changes to the dispositions in the run form. The primary goal of the change to 3.5 is to improve the ability and flexibility to fully describe an EMS event in a way that we couldn't do in the previous NEMSIS versions. It's not as drastic a change as it was from version 2, which some folks would remember as MEMSR, to version 3, but it's still a significant change. And I'll give you an example just for some context, is that if you think about the dispositions, and when we get to them, you'll be able to specifically see those on the screen here. Treated and transported by this EMS unit really kind of describes a few things, right? It describes, you made patient contact. It describes that you've treated the patient, and it describes that you've transported the patient. So that's 3 different things. And there's some of the dispositions in the current way that talk about a multitude of variations of things like that, with or without transport. Did you attempt care? Did they refuse care? So on and so forth. So that's the point of what we're going to share with you today, is we're going to talk about the changes to the dispositions. The first disposition is the unit disposition, and that is, did the unit get to the scene and was there patient contact, right? So on the right-hand side, these are our current value options that we have under E-disposition.12, or the incident patient disposition, and that sets a lot of the tone for the patient care report. But on the left, you have what those new disposition values will be for this new value of unit disposition. And we say, out of all of these things on the right here, will be now this one value of patient contact made. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor or not. I turned my magic cursor off, so let me turn that back on. So right here, patient contact made applies to these values that are part of the run reporting system now. And it's just one, it's just the unit. Did the unit arrive on scene and make patient contact, or did you not make patient contact? This one value is required on every EMS patient care report, or every EMS report, whether there was a patient or not. And it really sets the tone for the remainder of the report. So the next one is, was there, if there was a patient, were they evaluated and treated? So we'll have the patient evaluation and care. And you can see patient dead at scene, resuscitation attempted with transport. That's one of those values that I was talking about. All of these are replaced by this one value. But if you start to see the theme here, right, we're trying to use this one element to answer one question about the event that happened in the run form. What did the crew do? So the crew disposition, did they initiate and continue primary care, or did they assume primary care from another EMS crew? And so on and so forth. So sort of describe those instances where there was an intercept, or there was a mutual aid, something like that. So I do have a question in the chat. What about canceled en route? That would be, I can go back a couple slides because that would be on the unit disposition. So canceled prior to arrival at scene, canceled on scene, or no patient contact, no patient found. That would answer that for you. And that's the first disposition. And that would really set the tone for the remainder of that report. I hope that answers that question, Don. So we're back on what did the crew do? I'm hoping folks can start to see the theme here, where we're saying, we're answering the current dispositions and answer multiple questions. And then the new ones are very specific to a type of event associated with the call. And was the patient transported, and by whom, right? And that would be the transport disposition. And the transport disposition is okay. So no worries, Don. Drive safe, please. But the transport disposition is whether or not the patient was transported, right? So you can make patient contact, evaluate the patient and provide care, initiate and continue primary care, and then transport, right? So those are probably going to be the major, the most frequently used of these new disposition values. But patient refused transport, no transport, these are fairly self-explanatory, but they're new and they're significant changes in the run form. So we want to take our time to really communicate these to you guys. This is also for those of you that are in attendance here today. If you are using elements in Report Writer, one of the most significant changes with this data set is going to be that e-disposition.12 incident patient disposition value is going away. So, and we're not going to use it in 3.5, but how are you going to differentiate when you're using a value similar to that in 3.5 in Report Writer querying to say, hey, was the patient transported or not? This is that value that more often than not, you're going to want to use in your queries is going to be e-disposition 30, transport disposition, and then, were they transported by your unit or not? So key thing to take away for that. If the patient refused care and or transport, why? And I think this is a value that we're going to highlight. We're already using this value. I think some of the elements may be slightly relabeled a little bit, but they are here, these new values, the reason for refusal or release. And I find with this, by selecting, the patient there's one that against medical advice, there is the opportunity to say that they refused specific advice or care offered by the agency. So if they say, yes, I have, chest pain, but I don't want nitro because it gives me a headache, you can document that they refuse that specific advice with you, and then even obtain a refusal signature and document that medication as refused, and then just have super accurate documentation for that. So we went through a bunch of these new dispositions here, and I just want to know if anybody has any questions, if anybody sees any challenges that they're thinking of, anything at all, because I could literally go on and talk for hours and go through a bunch of things and not give you folks the opportunity to ask questions, but I really want you to ask questions. So Steve Almquist, please go ahead.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for putting this on. Honestly, it's I've looked at the Nemesis website and it's a bit overwhelming with all the stuff they put on there for information for the transition. So this is real helpful.
Yep.
I had one question regarding the report writer, because you just touched on it. So obviously you said that there'd be some values that we'll need to replace when doing reports. But what about running reports with a timeline that may extend between both 3.4 version and 3.5? So say I want to do a report between 2023 and 2024. So I'll have some reports that be version 3.4 and version 3.5. Will I have to run two different reports for those versions to get all the runs, or will I be able to kind of have one report that will cover both versions?
Yeah. So this feels like, yeah, dude, this feels like 2017 all over again for me, right? When we transition from version 2 to version 3. There's anytime you change from a new data set, from one data set to another, there's going to be a cutoff period, right? There's going to be a time period where, a value that's retired in one data set that was essential is replaced by another value in the new data set, and reporting in that period of time looks kind of wonky, right? So yeah, you're going to have to, so it won't, the way that report writer is set up, it won't bar you from saying, the incident date is between 2023 and 2024 dates, and you can still select that edisposition.12 field to say patient, and to say the incident patient disposition, and where that value is present, it will return that value to you still, right? But when we transition to the 3.5 data set, you'll see that for results that return in that column, they won't be present, right? So they won't have, they'll be blank.
Yeah.
For the new data set. Incidents that happen after your agency switches to collecting 3.5.
Okay.
So, and what we're doing right now behind the scenes for report writer is, so there's, if you want to know a staggering number, there's 4,509 reports contained within report writer. Not all of them did I or Darren write. So, and there's a lot that are specific to local agencies, right? There's some that say Auburn in front of them. There's some that say Delta, Bangor, Portland, right, in front of them. And I don't know what's in those reports, right? So we've asked for Image Trend to return us a list of the reports that are in report writer, because we can't query the queries, so to say. And Image Trend is going to give us a report back that says, this report with this name built by this person contains edisposition.12, right? And then we're going to take that list and we're going to create a merge template, and we're going to email everybody on that list and say, hey, we understand you have a report in the report writer within MEFIRS that uses edisposition.12. That's the main field I think that people are going to have a headache with when it comes to reporting. And here's some information on what you need to do to modify that report to make it to be continually functional.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Thank you. And I apologize because I'm sure many of those 4,000 reports are mine.
Yeah, no, no worries.
So one thing just to add, Jason, before you move on,
Yeah.
some of that is going to depend a little bit on the design of the report itself. So if you have filtering criteria on incident patient disposition currently, what you can do is you can modify that report today and add an or clause to say the incident patient disposition is one of these treated and transported dispositions, and the what
Or
would be the or right, or the patient disposition is transported. So
right.
you know, so you can kind of or those together today, and that will keep the same criteria throughout the transition.
All right. Great question, Steve. Thank you, Darren, for the awesome response too. Does anybody else have any questions before we kind of plug on a little bit? I'm not afraid to call out people by name, and I see a lot of people on this meeting that I know, so be forewarned. Okay. So this is a QR code that I'd like to share with everybody. This is the NEPSIS 3.5 data dictionary. You just heard Steve talking about viewing the NEPSIS website, and they do have a lot of resources, but the best resource that I think they have for folks that really want to have a further understanding of EMS data and how it's used and when it's required, when it's not required, and some additional background information about the data elements that we collect on the run form. This is their data dictionary. It's a digital copy of their data dictionary available online 24 hours a day. I will tell you, I refer to this daily when I'm writing patient care reports, or not writing patient care reports, writing reports in Report Writer, and also helping other folks understand EMS data. I refer to this document daily. It's interactive, it's online, available all the time. So I highly suggest scanning the code, checking out the website. Blank page, and this is the extended data definitions. What the extended data definitions do for you as an EMS clinician who's super interested in understanding your data is it goes one step further. So in the data dictionary, they'll talk about, E disposition 27, which is the unit disposition. And it'll give you the definition of what that element is. What the extended data definitions do is they break down the values that are available within that element, and they provide you a detailed definition of each option within that value. So if the one is patient contact is made, they give you a definition of what it means to make patient contact, right? You might go a little bit further to say, well, what is a patient, right? If you want to get, super analytical, right? And then to define that a little bit further for you, right? So another resource that I highly recommend that folks take advantage of, and you can download a copy of it right there. And just to kind of ring our own bell a little bit, Maine EMS is very active with this is the NASEMSO's version of the NEPSIS 3.5 extended data definitions. We're very involved with the Nationwide Data Managers Council to have input into what these things mean, so that they make sense for our clinicians. Okay. I don't know why I have all these blank pages today. Okay. So try out the new form, right? So if you go to our website and you click on MEFIRS, there is the demo login, right? If you use that login to log into our training site, the 3.5 run form is available there right now, today, as we speak, for folks to go log in and check it out, right? And you can see the new dispositions and all the visibility rules are active and functioning as we hope they would. There may be, somebody may go in there and write something out that says, and break it, right? That's the goal, right? And I know there's a lot of folks out there that are really good at breaking things. So that's what we'd like you to do. If you can go there and find something wrong with it, hey, feel free to reach out to us and tell us what it is. And we'll do what we can to make it work or make it work better or redo it so that it does work. So now is the point where I've wrapped up my presentation that I have for everybody today. We're trying to do this right now. We're doing it every Tuesday at 2 o'clock. We're meeting. We're going to focus like a small chunk of the change so we can break this off into like little pieces, because if you have a whole, whole elephant to eat, you can only do it one bite at a time, right? So, and the transition might be like trying to eat an elephant. So, will we ever see a community paramedicine? Yes. One of the things that we're doing with the transition to 3.5 is we're creating that community paramedicine run form with that. And that'll deploy to EMS agencies that are involved in community paramedicine, because this new run form will not have community paramedicine options in the 911 run form. So they'll come out at the same time. If your agency is doing community paramedicine, we'll make sure that that form's ready for you too. So Evelyn says, report writer, how to break up ALS, IFT, BLS. So that is a change, right? Because when we held this last week, we talked about eResponse.05. And I can show you that value too. If you give me a second, I'll stop sharing and then I'll pull up another value, another system. But eResponse.05 has changed to the point where it is not, what day was that? August 1st. eResponse.05 is, if it's an interfacility transport and it's hospital to hospital, it'll say hospital hospital transfer, right? If it's a different type of transfer, it'll show the different things. And let me get that pulled up so I can show you that. It's a little bit different than the way it's currently done, but let's see, where does it go? Here we go. Share. Let me find that for you. So, okay, here we go. Right here. So these are the emergency responses. That's not what you're asking about. Where is it? Okay, here we go. So type of service requested in 3.4 is 911, scene response, intercept, mutual aid, IFT, medical transport, so on and so forth. This slide, as it turns out, was slightly outdated, but these options right here, hospital to hospital transfer, this is a current option in the 3.5 data set. And then there's a hospital to non-hospital, non-hospital to hospital, and other variations of that are available in the data set, right? The one thing that you'll notice is in here, we used to have PIFT and we would have specialty care available in here. But so that was, the type of service requested, we had this other weird question that sort of kind of comes up that says, okay, well, I was requested to go to the hospital for PIFT and I showed up there as a paramedic and the sending clinician said, here they go. This patient is nausea and vomiting. They're going for, you know, a GI consult. They have orders for Zofran, not a PIFT, right? So now, now you're changing that, right? So, but was the type of service requested actually PIFT? Well, what we need to do is like the type of service requested is it was a hospital to hospital transfer, is really what we were looking for initially to understand. And then the level of service provided. So the either the CMS service level or the care level of care provided per protocol, which is another new value, which we haven't talked about yet, will help answer that question about breaking it out, ALS, BLS, or IFT. So does that answer your question, Evelyn? I think folks can unmute themselves too. I'm pretty confident that they can. Yep. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, sounds like I'm gonna have a lot of reports that are gonna use this e-disposition 30 and then have and for this e-response to tie in the level so
Yep.
that I can get what I was getting from e-disposition 1 too.
Yep. Fun thing is you'll have it from New Hampshire too, so it won't just be me.
Yeah, I
that's-
get double the work.
Yeah. Don, I see you have a question via phone. Feel free to call me anytime. I live for questions. So.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a couple of quick questions. The other fee, like Maine State Police, and the other relates to the PIP. Are arrested?
Well, Don, I hate to tell you, but your cellular phone accent is not being cooperative with my ability to understand you right now. Oop, and I think we lost him. So I have a question from Ben in the chat. He says, not relevant to today's call, but it's absolutely fine. I want everybody to, if they have a question here about anything at all, to ask the question. Okay, so Ben asks, you know, if there's a medication that's in the for the patient medications that's not available in the drop down, is there a way that we can get that entered, right? So two things, right? So there's right in that section where the patient medical history is, there's a free text field called medical history other. You could add it there, or you can do a myriad of things. You can submit a support ticket to me through our support ticket system, or you can send me an email, either which way, saying, hey, you know, had a patient with this medication today, it wasn't available in the drop down. Can you add it? And I'm incredibly responsive to things like that. So also though, check some, well, yeah, no, that's an allergy I was thinking about, but yeah, feel free to send me an email or submit a support ticket with medications that are missing from the system. The list that's there is fairly extensive. And I would suggest searching by, you know, if they have a brand name of the medication that they are taking, you know, versus versus the generic name. Sometimes that works too. Finding it in the generic version as opposed to the brand name. So
Jason, this is Ben.
hey Ben.
Thanks for answering the question. Yeah, I do usually check for generics and other
Oh, okay,
brand
great.
names. But sometimes I can't even find the medication. So that
Yeah.
happens once in a while. Oh,
Yep.
so I'll just send you a ticket next time. Okay.
Absolutely. Happens to me too. You know,
I have another question, another
Yeah, go ahead.
topic.
go ahead.
We're a volunteer, small volunteer EMT force, And, sometimes when there's a call, there may already be EMT on site by coincidence, or an EMT may come to the scene before the rest of the crew arrives by ambulance, and they may start the assessment. The current timeline, if you start the assessment prior to the ambulance arrives, you get a penalty on the score. Is there a way that can be modified? If you see what I'm
Well,
saying?
So for like vital signs, are you talking about? Or,
Yeah, or just, let's say I happen to be at the ferry terminal. It's happened, I was at the ferry terminal and I was the first person on scene. I called 911. It started assessment right away. Ambulance arrived 5 minutes later. I put that down as I started assessment right away, but I got a penalty because the ambulance crew had not arrived yet on scene.
yeah, yeah. So I get that question a little bit, it's a fairly regular question, right?
Yeah.
And I think the question there is because it's arrived at patient date and time, right? So if you say, the unit arrived on scene date and time, is before the arrived at patient date and time. So if you document those backwards to say, I arrived at the patient before the unit did, then the logic and the run form would be like, these are out of sequence, right?
Right.
But if you're charting the vital signs, right? So it says, because there's the prior to EMS arrival, and I kind of have to think about that one a little bit further because technically it's not prior to EMS arrival, but if you do check that yes box there, if the date and time of the vital sign reading or anything like that is prior to the unit's arrival, it won't mark it as out of sequence, because it was before the unit arrived, right? But I think that's a question that I have to explore a little bit further for instances such as that, right? Like you were on scene, you called 911, right? Your assessment is beginning right at that point in time. But if the unit shows up, obviously you want to document all the stuff that happened before the unit arrived, and not have validation errors. So I'll just need to assess that a little bit further, Ben, to get you a really,
Okay.
really good answer on that one.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anybody else have any questions for us today?
Hey, Jason,
Yeah.
this is Harvey Poe from Harpswell Neck. We
Oh, hey,
have,
Harvey.
yeah, we have exactly the same problem, exacerbated by the fact that we're a peninsula. So about half the time the EMT goes direct and may actually be on scene and have started evaluating the patient before the ambulance crew has gotten to the station and has gone en route. It would be really handy if we had a way to record when the first responder arrives on scene.
There is a time field in the patient care report that is the initial responder arrived on scene date and time. And that is between the unit going en route and arriving on the scene. There's another time field. It's in the right-hand side of the report. That is an initial responder arrived on scene date and time.
Do you have to be in report writer to see that? Because I don't
No.
see that.
No. So this would be in the data entry side of the form. So in the run form itself, if
Uh-huh,
you click on the right-hand side of the screen, there's the times button. If you
uh-huh.
click that times button,
I
then
see.
you'll see unit or initial
Okay.
EMS responder arrived on scene.
Okay. That should take care of it.
So I don't know if that's going to solve any of the validation issues though, between it marking times out of sequence, right? So it'll say if there's a set of vital signs or something like that,
Mhm.
if you document the time, I don't think it'll resolve the out of sequence time error issues for you. So I still have to look into that a little bit further though.
Yeah, if we use before the unit arrived.
That should help. That should help a little bit. That should
Yeah.
help a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I suspect.
It's
that's why it
sort of
wasn't there.
sort of an oddity, right? Sort of an
Mhm.
oddity.
Yeah,
It's the same for us too, Jason. His
Yep.
description is like someone's own. Thank you.
Yep. Yep, no problem.
Hey,
And maybe
Jason,
the-
John Coister here.
Oh, hey, John, how's it going, man?
Good thing. Sorry, did I just cut you off in the middle of answering
No,
someone's
absolutely.
question?
No, go for it.
Okay. The so I'm playing with the dispositions page. Can we transition to that for just a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So dispositions.
Oh, do you want me to?
just
Am I still sharing
you
my
don't have to
screen?
do it on the screen. No, just I got a couple of questions. So dropping down. So I'm just picking, for example, the looking at the options. I pick type of service requested, and I click emergency response, primary response area. Unit disposition, I click patient contact made. And then I've run into a little bit of a issue just thinking, sort of what goes on the street sort of happenings. And for example, we had a lady who fell, long story, she didn't want any care provided. She wanted to go to the hospital. So if I click on patient evaluated and refused care, or patient evaluated and care required, and we take her to the hospital, if I click on initiating continued primary care, I get flagged. If I click on, well, there really isn't anything else there. There isn't an option necessarily to say gave person ride to hospital. What do you recommend so you don't get dinged when you take somebody to the hospital who
Oh,
either refuses care, or
yeah.
on the occasion when you literally take somebody who doesn't need any care, but you go to the hospital?
Yeah, so I'm trying to open the run form right now, and so I can kind of just see what you're saying.
Yeah, I feel like if the question doesn't come from me, it's going to come from the crews at MedQ5. So I just figure knock it out of the park now.
Appreciate that one. Do. I think most of my bandwidth is being chewed up at home by being on a meeting with 28 people, potentially. So when that finishes loading, I will check on that for you. All right. Any other questions that anybody else has right now? Oh, here we go.
Hey, Jason,
Yes,
is
Emma.
this going to be you said it's going to be every Tuesday at the same time? Is it the same link as well? Or is it a different?
Yep, it's the same link. So if you got the message today, there was 2 buttons in the message that went out today for the reminder. One of them was to add this to your calendar. If you do that, it's a link to open up a calendar invite that'll copy the link to your calendar, your digital calendar in your email
Perfect.
for every week with the same link. It's the same thing. So
Thanks for making it easy.
doing my best. So John, so patient contact made, right? Patient evaluated and
Yes.
refused care.
Yep.
Right. And then we say, let's see.
Well, the crew disposition one is interesting because it doesn't give you an option other than to provide care.
Let's see if there's a initiating primary care, assume primary care, back in service, no care support, incident support services provided. Let's see, those are all the values for it. So patient contact, fused care. Let's see. Let me see. Let's go here. 5 all the way. 5. Patient evaluation care. Evaluation care. So transport disposition, or no, crew disposition. Initiated and continued, initiated primary care and transferred provided care supporting primary, assumed. Incident support service provided, including backup service, no care support service provided.
Yeah, Jason, I believe in this case, if the patient refused specific procedures or even all procedures, but allowed transport, I believe that that would be considered initiated and continued primary care if he was the only agency involved.
But it's flagging patient evaluation care should be patient evaluated and care provided when cruise contains primary care. Huh. So it's flagging an error, 1947. I'm gonna write that down and take a look at that error.
Yeah, and honestly, if you consider the patient evaluated, no care required,
Yeah.
I can come up with probably several instances where we take people to the hospital because they want to go and we don't honestly have much reason to take them, but they end up going. So when you
Yeah,
see the
no,
flag-
I know. Yeah, I totally get it. So I'll take a look at those values and I'll see if there's an opportunity for fixing that error flagging anyway. So
Thank you.
all right. I mean, it might even be under patient support services provided, right? That might honestly be a good option for that, right? So I don't know. I'll have to think about that one a little bit more.
Yeah, actually
Obviously-
write that one down because if I do click on patient support services provided,
Yeah.
if I click on initiated and continued primary care, I get flagged again.
Okay. All right. I'll take a look at that.
Thank you.
Quite honestly, some of these validation rules that are in here are quite complex, and it's difficult for us to assume what all of the infinite combinations could possibly be here. So that's why we want to try and get this exactly right. So we'll work on that. Take a look at that. So, right. Anybody have any other questions for us today? Do. All right, folks, with no other questions in the chat, nothing in the Q&A, nobody else has their hand up, nobody else is unmuting at the moment. So if anybody does have any questions in the interim, feel free to call or email, and we'd be happy to answer those questions for you. Please come back next week for more information. We're going to talk about another element in the run report that we're changing, and we're going to make these available. Like I said, we'll make these available to everybody as much as we can. And I appreciate everybody being here, being interested in learning about this transition to try and make it as painless as possible. Yeah, thanks for coming, folks. Have a great day.